Everyone, I hope so. Guys, don't forget to hit the like button, and I'm going to start now. And before we get talking about Mr. Alain de Botton and his talk, let's talk about you and tell me how you're doing in this lockdown, and if there is one great thing that's happened as a result of the lockdown, or your favorite kind of thing right now that's only happening because of the lockdown. What is it? In your personal lives. For example, I can tell you the one thing that I really love about the lockdown is not having to take my girls to school in the morning. Because the school run, have you heard of this word? School run is the thing that parents do in the morning to take their kids to school, okay? So the school run is always the time in the morning when me and my girls have a fight, okay? And it's basically because, of course, they're kids, they're small, they don't understand about the pressures of adults, especially the pressure of not wanting to be late, of not wanting to be the mother that's almost always late. And so I tell them, today we're going to be on time, and we have to leave on time, and everything has to be on time. And of course they don't get it. And nearly every morning, we end up fighting because we're 2 minutes late for school, and that really kind of writes me up. So the great thing about the lockdown is, as school is out, we don't fight in the morning because we don't have to get anywhere. What about, thank you, Rogero. Rogero just said I'm perfect. Well, I have the slide behind me that's irritating me because one of these two soft lights is kind of reflecting on the window, but hey, we'll just pretend it's not there. Okay, so hi Daniela, how are you doing? And Roberta is here as well. And Roberto, thank you for saying sound check. Okay, good. So what is the best thing that's happened to you as a result of the lockdown? So a nice side effect, your favorite thing that you will miss when hopefully sooner or later they will release us from this house arrest. Let's see. Fabio is saying there is nothing I like in this lockdown. Fabio, did I interpret your words correctly? Or do I need to improve my acting skills? Okay, Lisa Baby 72. Hi, how are you doing? I'm guessing how old you are. I'm guessing. Okay, who else? So Fabio likes nothing. I like the fact that I don't have to do the school run. What else? What is it that you like in your personal lives? Wake up later, Laura. Yeah, so actually funny, I just checked here. And I saw Laura's comment first, and I've now seen Giuseppe come online. And this is me as a guest, and I'm looking at my screen where I'm as the person doing the live streaming, okay? So looking at my channel analytics, and I'm 2-3 seconds late. So as a guest, I can see comments earlier. So if you see me check my phone, I'm not responding to private messages, I'm looking at your messages. Okay, so Laura is saying waking up later. Giuseppe is saying hi back. Giuseppe. Roberto Guione, my darling, how are you? So Roberto and I see each other only via these days. Daniela is saying audio is good. Lisa Baby is saying, I'm assuming the best thing is that she's had a chance to clean her house. Yes, I think many of us have had that chance, which is very good. And Roberto is saying, Roberto C, that is saying, no job run, no traffic jam. Okay, so you don't have you don't have to do the rush hour. So the run, we use it in relation to school, the school run. We adults, we always caught in the rush hour. And then one concept that you might have come across is the rat race, but that's kind of bigger, okay? So it's the rush hour. No one misses the rush hour. Yes, I agree with that. Okay, so then we have Fabio saying, maybe I've just started again to study English and keep in touch with my first teacher. That's nice. So are you back in touch with your first English teacher, Fabio? That's great. And it's good, yes, to use this opportunity to do the things that we always say, I never have time, oh, I don't have time to learn English, I don't have time to clean my house, I don't have time to do anything. And now, frankly, we do have the time. Okay, Rogero N is saying the best thing has been the chance to improve English as I used to when I was young, not younger. Rogero, I'm sure you're still young. So when you were younger, kind of like a throwback. Yeah, that's lovely. That's really good. Okay, then we have Laura saying, moreover, I can dedicate more time to my passions. Yes, if you have any passions you would like to share with us, let us know. So that's true. I mean, like some people are actually working, I wouldn't say harder, but they're still like working pretty much full days because everything has moved online. And I think, you know, generally there's like, people have like now more time to do meetings and stuff. So there's a lot of meetings, online meetings going on. And then of course, like our children, so those of us who've got children, our children are at home. And I don't know about you guys, but if you don't have any support, so like, of course, being in lockdown, your cleaner can't come if you have one. Maybe your babysitter, if you have one, can't come, okay? Some people have grandparents, some people don't have grandparents, some people who have grandparents, don't let them come over because they're scared of the children passing something on to the grandparents. So a lot of people are at home, they're working and they're looking after their children at the same time. And it's also, you know, like whilst when children are in school, they eat at school. So like, you know, 5 days a week, they have lunch at school. Now they're at home and mothers and fathers have to kind of like take care of that aspect as well. So it's like looking after the children, doing the teachers' jobs and doing like, you know, all the cooking, the cleaning, etc. without any help. It's a bit of a busy time, I would say, for a lot of people. Okay, let's see. People are commenting. Gabriela is saying, and of course this chat. Thank you, Gabriela. I was waiting for that. No, thank you. Just kidding. Okay, Vincenzo is saying it's an opportunity to take calm. Okay, it's an opportunity to slow down. Okay, yes, much needed. It's an opportunity to slow down and think about my life and the life world in general and the state of the world in general. Okay, the state of the world we live in. Then to improve our English with a brilliant and smart person teacher. I don't know who you're talking about. No, thank you for that. I'm glad we're able to kind of keep each other company in this time that I'm sure we'll remember for years to come. What did you do during the lockdown? I learned some English online. Plus like other stuff. Okay, Daniela, great. I'm glad you've managed to sort out the live chat thing. Antonino, how are you doing today? And Roberta P saying, I have the opportunity to improve my English and to try to cook. Nice. Have you been cooking anything kind of unusual recently, or your best maybe recipe that you may want to share with us? Okay, and then we have Roberto G, this is my Roberto, and he's saying, I'm learning to play the guitar. Yes, I can attest to that. And he is very disciplined. So in the afternoons, Roberto, when I call him, he never wants to speak to me because he's like playing the guitar. But fair enough, we must follow through on our passions and promises to do something. So just kidding, Rob. Okay, Daniela M saying, I like to slow down and take my time because usually my life is too hectic. Amen to that. Yeah, like this is actually such a good opportunity now for us to maybe reassess. Do you think, like the previous lifestyles we've had, like kind of this rushing from one place to the next and doing so much that now perhaps we see actually like the world doesn't crumble if we don't do these things, like the world doesn't end if we don't do these things. I think it's a really good opportunity to kind of reflect on things and to reflect on whether or not this kind of slower pace of life that we're enjoying now, we can at least maintain some part of it for, I don't know, like for the future. I don't know, you tell me. Antonina's saying, audio is great today and I'm glad you improved it. All I had to do was switch to the cheaper microphone. So this is a €16 microphone. The other microphone was like a €200 microphone. So I guess I didn't make a good investment with the other microphone. But there you go. The other microphone is like a proper kind of podcasting microphone. And here, this one. Let's do some bad publicity for Rode, the podcaster. Can you see that? And I don't know, I can't send it back anymore. It's supposed to have like a 10-year warranty, but can't be bothered. Anyway, so who else? Okay, so I'll wait for a couple more comments. And in the meantime, everyone, so we've talked about the good things, slowing down, dedicating time for the things that we never have time for, following up on some of our passions, doing more of the things that we like doing. And Daniela, I saw just wrote, finally I managed to write. So now you manage to write, which is great. We've said earlier that Roberta now manages to cook, so she's trying her hands on cooking. Lots of people are learning English here or elsewhere. What about like things like the worst thing about this lockdown? I'm just going to read from Elisa. She's saying the opportunity, so this is the good thing, the best thing, the opportunity to understand that we don't have to take our families for granted. That's really true. That is really true, yes. It kind of, I guess, like makes you stop and think, like what is really like the most precious thing to you right now. And I keep saying, like, you know, the silver lining in this whole kind of thing, in like the coronavirus emergency, is that luckily so far, like children have been pretty much spared. And I keep thinking, like as a mother and, you know, as someone who cares about children in general, what an absolute catastrophe this would have been if, you know, like the coronavirus had been as big a danger to children as it had been to all, as it is to older people. So so that really makes you reflect quite a lot. Daniela is also saying, I like the fact that there is no traffic in the streets. Yes, I agree with that. Antonino, the planet has the opportunity to breathe. Yes, and then we'll go back to our old habits. You know, the other day, something that really upset me. Did I say it? I went to the supermarket and someone was wearing like gloves, you know, like the ones that you get at the supermarket for buying fruit. Maybe I've told the story. And like this person used the gloves, and then I paid and I left the supermarket, and I find them like on the pavement. Like this lady left the supermarket and then took off her gloves and threw them on the pavement. And I'm like, how out of your mind can you be in a crisis that's clearly caused by our huge disrespect for nature? Like there's some people still who haven't learned the lesson, and they continue to disrespect nature and the environment and people in general. So you've protected your hands, good for you, and then you leave the supermarket and throw your gloves on the pavement, like in total disrespect to everyone else, and, you know, to people who then have to clean, and just kind of the idea. So I thought that's like, some people obviously never really learn the real lessons from what we're living right now. Okay, then Laura is saying, I miss walking in nature. So now we're talking about the negative aspects. The negative aspects is Laura misses going out for walks in nature. Fabio is saying, my wife is cooking so much, too much. I don't manage all this food, sweets, etc. I think that's because we women believe that like the way to a man's heart is his stomach. So I think like she has all wonderful intentions behind her cooking. Tiziano, finally here. How are you doing? Okay, so Tiziano is saying, finally, at last I got you. I'm glad you've joined us, Tiziano. We were just talking about the best thing that you're living right now, or that's happening in your life right now because of the corona lockdown, and then we moved on to the worst thing. So what is like the most negative aspect of being in lockdown? Antonino saying, unfortunately, stupid people that will stay that way no matter. So you're talking about the lady at the supermarket. We should respect nature. I hate it when some people throw rubbish into the grass. Yeah, anywhere, like there are bins everywhere, or just like put it in your pocket and then throw it away when you get home or whatever. So yeah. And then Antonella is saying, I can't train. You mean like work out? So it's not like allenare, like in Italian, we say we work out or exercise, okay? Work out. So I can't work out. Why can't I type? I can't work out, or I can't do any exercise. Antonella, I'll show you a trick. Do you know how like to rope jump? You can rope jump at home. I do it. And it's like, I don't do it very often, maybe like 2-3 times a week. You only need like 20 minutes and it does wonders. And I do it like in my kitchen, which is like, it's an eating kitchen, but it's not like massive. And the reason why I do it there is because I have like a tile floor, so the people below me don't hear me jumping, whereas here in the living room they would, because of the wooden floor. Anyway, that's just as an aside, we can exercise at home. Then who have we got? We've got cooking. Tiziano, cooking is a good thing, okay? Roberto is saying, I miss riding my bicycle so much and that's difficult at home. And Tiziano says, I'm deeply thinking about our humanity. Yes, I think a lot of us are, hopefully, we ought to be reflecting about the state of our world. Someone said it earlier, and just in general, you're like, values and what's important, what's less important, the world in general. I mean, I keep thinking about all the much less fortunate countries and people. So I keep thinking about, it's easy for someone to be in lockdown, easier when you have a nice home, you have money to buy your food, you have a salary, or maybe you don't have a salary, but you still have like some money in your bank account to keep you afloat. You have 1 or 2 children, maximum 3. You have a supportive partner. But think about like all the people in lockdown with maybe 6 or 7 children in a small home, 1 TV, few toys, mothers who maybe can't cope with educating their children. Maybe they don't have the education themselves to educate their children, and they have not 2, but they have like 6 to support at the same time, and they don't have all the support from their family. I keep thinking about those people who earn money today and they eat they live from hand to mouth. I don't know if you know this expression, but basically I earn money today, I eat today. I don't earn money tomorrow, I'm not going to eat tomorrow. So I think about these kind of people and I say, they're the real victims, people who will lose their jobs, who will lose their small companies, who will lose their small businesses, people who will be earning much less, if anything, during this time. So they're, like my thoughts every day go out to those people, definitely. Okay, so let's see. Gabriella saying, I miss my friends hiking, dancing, swimming. Yeah. So you hike. Where do you like hiking? Gabriella, I like hiking too. It's one of my favorites. Not keen on swimming, but I have to learn. Roberto keeps telling me. Sorry. Antonino saying, on the other hand, people who have the habit of going to restaurants very often have the opportunity to learn how to cook. Yeah, or in the case of Fabio, they'll just have someone else cook for them. I'm not saying, Fabio, that before you were only going to restaurants. Elisa saying, too many hours in front of screens like laptops, phones. Yes, I mean, a lot of life has moved online. So things that, people previously used to meet face to face and now it's all online. And Antonella is now saying, I'll try. So maybe try kind of like commenting. Antonino is saying, do you like cooking, Antoinette? Have you learned how to cook Italian style? I can make very good pasta, I think. But I cook, like in London, I used to cook like international dishes. I used to make Thai. I used to make Japanese. I used to make Chinese. I used to make Mexican, I used to make Lebanese, because London is very, very international, and I've maintained some of these, but I can't always get the ingredients where I am now in Milan, although I'm sure I could if I went like a little bit further afield to where I live. But I always cook, always make fresh food for my children. My youngest daughter, she's like a kind of like a bizarre case of a child who likes soups. So I always make her like fresh soups. She likes that. Priorities have changed, is saying Roberta. And Rogero is saying, so Rogero N is saying, we suffer the situation without having the tiniest expectation of it. It seems to live in a science fiction movie. Absolutely, I agree. I often think, how absurd. This seems like an absurd situation, but yes, and we've made it. You know, humanity has brought this upon itself. Hi, good evening to you too, David America. And Daniela is saying, I miss the contact with nature too. And Tiziano is saying, will we bridge over? How? It will be a better world? I doubt it, Tiziano. I actually think this crisis, apocalypse now, I think this crisis is going to, as all the previous crises we've seen in the past, let's not go too far back in time. Let's go back to 2001, 9/11, 2008, the financial crisis. All of these so every crisis always kind of like brings in real changes to like our freedom, to the security system, to lots of things, to kind of privacy, etc. And I think this is another crisis, unfortunately, that's going to serve the aim like of augmenting the surveillance state, and we're all going to be under much more surveillance. Our data is going to be collected, and I do think that like lots of bad things potentially could come out of this crisis that are not relating to the health crisis. Okay, so the health crisis will have its victims, and the economic crisis will have many more victims, I dare kind of predict. And then there will be many kind of like wider repercussions for all of our lives because of this. I think we're living through something that will kind of really change how things will go over the next decade or so for us. I don't know, it's just my reading of things. Okay, let's see. Gabriela is saying, I wait for you in Lecco. We have beautiful mountains where we can hike. Yes, I've been before, and I would love to come back. So when this is over, we'll go hiking. We'll go hiking together. And you know, I take my girls with me. Like if it's like not a very kind of difficult hike, I take them and they hike as well. Okay, so Antonino is saying, I know how multicultural London is since I used to live there, especially regarding food, Antonino. I went to a lovely Persian restaurant once among many other kinds of restaurants, and I love the hummus too. Now my hummus is really good. My hummus is famous. It really is very, very good. Okay guys, so we've spoken a lot about the crisis. Now let's talk about Mr. Alain de Botton's talk. Did you watch it? Did you like it? What did you make of it? And especially I wanted to talk to you about, or like to exchange views on his statement that did make me crack up. Okay, if something makes you crack up, it really makes you laugh a lot, about the fact that many adults unfortunately look like adults, and it's unfortunate because deep down we are all children. And it would be much more helpful if we looked like children, because then people can see that we're not adults, and they will be nicer to us, and they won't expect us to behave like grown-up people, and they can just be more forgiving, because they'll just look at us and they'll say, oh yeah, she's an idiot because she's just a child. So what did you make of that statement? And if you haven't seen the video, never mind, what do you make of what I've just said to you about what Mr. Alain de Botton has said? So I'll wait and see if any comments come in. Fabio is saying there is a world after 9/11 and there will be a world after Corona, or at least until a vaccine will be found. Yeah, but you know, the repercussions, I mean, the vaccine will have an impact on our health, hopefully a positive one, but the repercussions like may outlast that. Okay, I mean, just like the repercussions of 9/11 outlasted by far 9/11. I mean, for the past 20 years we've had a war on terror, so this has by far outlasted the single event, if you know what I mean. Okay, so Roberto is saying probably our borders will remain closed for a long time. Leaving abroad will be will become more difficult. So going abroad, okay, you go abroad, will be more difficult. Luckily, and I tell you as someone who has traveled widely, I have traveled quite a lot, especially in Asia. And I used to think that Asia is amazing and I wanted to go and live somewhere in an Asian country. And then, as luck had it, I moved to Italy 6 years ago, and I can tell you quite honestly, and I always say that, we do live in one of the most stunning countries in the world. Italy is beautiful. Wherever you go, there's always like a surprise, like in terms of history and culture and nature and views, and you know, like little villages and like little squares and great food. I really think we are lucky to be here. So so that's kind of like another silver lining. Okay, so and then Daniela is saying the most important thing is to stay healthy. Yes, to keep our health, especially the health of our like kind of dear ones. So they're like the ones that we most worry about. I worry the most about my children. And then of course, when you have children, you worry about yourself because you want to be there for them. So yeah. Okay, so has anyone... okay, so sorry, Ruggiero N is saying, can you pronounce the words child and children? Children, because the plural is a very difficult word to pronounce correctly for strangers, for non-native speakers. Only mother tongue, only native speakers, or only those who speak English as their mother tongue do it correctly. Child, children. So I think the difficulty is the DR, okay? Children, okay? Child, children. So it seems natural. So I don't know if that actually helps you. Okay. Antonino saying, I'm happy you think that about Italy. Honestly, I'm not saying this because like we're now on YouTube and you're watching. Everyone who knows me here in Italy and like abroad, they know that I always say that. Like I always say, oh my God, like now it's really hard to go anywhere else. I mean, you don't have everything in Italy, like in terms of, I don't know, like job opportunities and earning opportunities. I was way better off in the UK compared to here. But then, I mean, we've been talking now about priorities and like, you know, what really counts in life. And you kind of sometimes have to make a trade-off and say, okay, so you find a country where you have real great quality of life and you can enjoy a lot of things like for free just by going there. Like you get into your car and you drive for an hour and you're like in this wonderful place, and you kind of make other sacrifices. And for me, that's a good sacrifice, like a good compromise. Okay, so no one has anything to say about us being children. So Mr. Alain de Botton has labeled most adults as children on the inside, and he has said that really it would be much more helpful if we looked like children. At least we would reflect our maturity and people would be less upset with us for behaving in like idiotic ways or crazy ways or like undesired ways or disappointing ways. Antonino saying, I wonder if you've ever been in Sicily. Yes, I've been like to one tiny part of Sicily, but I've not really traveled anywhere. I've been to Siracusa, but I've not been to like other places. Like I've just been there on a long weekend visiting someone. So in and out type of thing. Okay, so Fabio is now saying, by the way, I completely agree with Alan's point of view. Agree. Okay, so you agree with him. Do you think, so why do you think we all kind of, or many adults, like do personalize it? We're not talking about this group, we're talking in general about grown-ups. Why are so many grown-ups in reality just immature and more children-like? I mean, I tend to agree to some degree on that. It depends on the adult. Okay, let's see. Daniela is saying Alain de Botton's satire is very subtle. Yes, it's very British. I mean, he does make me laugh because he has this very British way of like delivering a serious talk in a very kind of humorous way. So what do you guys think? I mean, you deal with a lot of people on a day-to-day life. You have a lot of people in your own lives. Do you find people generally are really grown up and adult about things? Or do you find like adults are just like insecure or immature or emotionally not ready to do certain things or to kind of deal with specific problems or difficulties? Anyone? So Antonino, okay, because they're scared of judgment, maybe. I think that's spot on. I think a lot of grown-ups, I mean, you know, me included, we are in many ways dictated by fear. We have a lot of fears. We fear being judged. We fear losing face. We fear people excluding us or not accepting us or not understanding us. And then there are other fears that maybe society instills into you, like the fear that if you don't go to school and to university and you get a steady job with a steady salary at the end of every month, then you're going to end up being a needy, poor person and maybe, I don't know, a drain on society. And this is the fear that society instills into you to make sure that you follow a certain path. So some of it, maybe it's emotional, and other fears that we have are more created by, I guess, the values and the principles that rule a society. So yes, I think being scared of judgment is part of it. But I do think so, in terms of what he's saying. So he's saying that lots of people are just on the inside we're just crazy, every one of us is crazy in his own or her way. No one's really normal, and we should just stop pretending that we're normal and expect the person, for example, that we love to accept us, accept everything that we are. And we should when we treat people, when we deal with people, we shouldn't be too harsh on them and the way we judge them, because if we understand that they're not perfect and that they may be behaving in a way because of their fears, of their insecurities, then you're likely to be more generous to them and nicer to them and more forgiving. So for example, just to tell you, one of the lessons that have really helped me in life when I deal with other people is how sometimes some people can really come across as very unfriendly and just rude and I don't know what. Sometimes it just helps to think, well, maybe it's got nothing to do with me, it's to do with them and their life and their day and their worries and their troubles. And maybe she had a fight with her husband, or he's just lost his job, or people have all kinds of issues all the time. So maybe the reason why people treat you in a specific way, it's nothing to do with you, it's to do with them. And I think that really helps to step back from things and to try and see that this other person has their own lives as well, and there may be lots of things going on that we know nothing about. So it's easy to judge, it's much harder to understand. Okay, now Giuseppe is saying we have a constant need for confirmation of our self-esteem. Yes, lots of people aren't really like that. They want constant confirmation of, am I right? So if I say something, you have to agree with me, and if you don't agree with me, then you're not a good friend or whatever. And then lots of people take it personally. Lots of people don't like to be challenged on their views. I mean, this is why often social media is called an echo chamber, because people only they write certain things and then the same things come back, because if the same things don't come back, people end up maybe fighting or blocking each other. I mean, I've seen that happen. I had a friend who posted something very controversial, very I was so upset when I saw it, but I didn't comment on it. I spoke to her in private because she's my friend, and I told her, I didn't like what you posted. But some people commented on her, her friends, and said, hey, this is totally off. And then she blocked them. I mean, That's really immature. That's like, okay, so I post something publicly, and then because some people don't agree, I just like block them rather than kind of have to deal with them. So unfortunately, that does happen. Okay, Antonino is saying everybody expects people to understand them, but they don't try to understand others. That's the problem. Yeah, because very often it's like, you know, we see things from our own perspective, and it takes effort, and it takes really like kind of working on yourself to stop your emotions from kind of like ruling your behavior, and kind of like stepping back from a situation and cooling down before reacting. I think that would be like a good kind of tactic to use. So I don't know about you, but sometimes like when I'm really upset with something that maybe someone wrote or did, and I'm like, I want to respond, I just say, don't respond now, respond tomorrow morning, because the world will look different tomorrow morning. And lo and behold, the next day, my anger is gone, and I haven't written anything nasty back, and the whole thing just dies away. So it's always good to kind of like try and put a break on our instincts, because our instincts always kind of like to defend ourselves and to kind of like, you know, make sure that we get our way. But that's not always the best way for dealing with other people. Anyway, guys, it's 20 to 10. I'm sure there must be something very interesting on TV going on. I can't see any other comments. No one else has commented on this apart from Fabio, Daniela, and Antonino and Giuseppe. So maybe everyone else just thinks, hey, I only know other people in my life. They're all grown-ups, they're all great. So anyway, guys, I'll let you go, and I'll see you tomorrow. Thank you, by the way, for all the comments on the post that I posted today about forthcoming topics. I shall read everyone's comments and make sure you get some support for your comments if you've made any comment, in order for those videos to be made, like either lessons or recorded videos. Let's see, we have Daniela saying many adults have a low self-esteem. Yes, and cooling down, you eat your gut out sometimes.